What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the studio where the sound of sports is heard. I'm Yossi Dan Castile, and today we got an awesome segment. We got coffee, we got sports, and we got a guest. We got Thomas Mellon with us today. And first of all, good morning, everybody. Saturday morning, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about specific sports topics, and every Saturday we're going to do this. I'm going to have a different guest on. They're usually going to be my friends who have different expertise and different knowledge on different things. So let's just jump right into this. Thomas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you as our first guest here. I hope you're having a good morning. We had a very busy week of sports. For the first time in a while, we had two mainstream sports, basketball and football, kind of have a lot of drama this week. Of course, basketball, it hasn't played yet, but we had the draft this week. We had a lot of trade rumors. Hopefully nothing interesting happens by the time we record this and by the time we upload it with James Harden. But you never know. So let's just jump right into this. My first question I have for you today, we're both Eagles fans. I see that Eagles flag you have in the background. Everybody knows I have this stuff behind me. Do the Giants really have a shot now to, are they favored to win the East?
I mean, this is probably the hardest question you're going to ask me today because it's just this division is so bad. I mean, you just have to think about it. Like, people are talking about putting an asterisk on trophies this year. You better be putting an asterisk on the Eagles banner, the Giants banner. Whoever's going to win the NFC, you need an asterisk. That's just how bad it was this year. And the sad thing is, they could go into this stuff, and they could get a whole playoff game, whoever wins the NFC. So I know that the Giants have the Bengals, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Cowboys. So they only have one division game left, and the Eagles have a pretty similar schedule. I just think that the Eagles have the Packers and the Saints, which that's going to be difficult, obviously. It's going to be a difficult stretch. But the Eagles have two division games at the end of their season with the Cowboys and the Redskins. Oh, the Washington football team. And I think, that it's going to come down to those two division games, the one more that the Eagles have, just because of the fact that it's going to be difficult for either of these teams to beat the hard teams that they are playing against. Whether it be the Giants with the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Ravens, or the Eagles with the Packers, the Saints, and I think the Eagles play. I think the Eagles also play the Cardinals, don't they?
The Eagles also play the Cardinals.
They
They play the Browns this Sunday. That should be an interesting matchup.
If we don't beat the Browns, I'll give the Giants the NFC. Like, you can have it. I'll take a better draft pick.
Yeah, at what point do you say, okay, it's not really even worth it to play to make the playoffs? Because whoever's going to come out of the East, they're going to get the fourth seed. Almost positively, they're going to get the fourth seed, and they're likely going to end up playing the Saints or the Bucks, because whoever is not going to win that division, they're gonna be the fifth seed. So is it really worth it to get that extra game and to just get blown out? Like I was saying earlier in the season, the Eagles' goal is to get to the playoffs and get Carson Wentz a playoff appearance. But at this point, is it really worth it to just get him there, just to get him beat up by the Saints or the Bucks? Like, wouldn't you prefer an extra draft pick here?
I think that the reason that the Eagles are fighting to get to the playoffs this year is so that Doug Peterson is not on the hot seat. Because I think the only way that Doug Peterson is not on the hot seat is if the Eagles make the playoffs in this horrible division. And I think that no matter what happens, I think Doug Peterson should be on the hot seat. I think Howie Roseman should be gone before the draft. Because if you look at any player that Howie Roseman, any pick that Howie Roseman has made, like almost the entire 2017 draft class is gone. Derek Barnett's the only one that's left. Literally the only one that's left.
I'll be honest with you. I think this is a little bit of your and I feel it too. But and of course it's just natural. I do feel like this is a little bit of your frustration with the team. But I personally think, if from an outsider perspective, if I wasn't an Eagles fan and I was looking at it, I would say, you know what, Howie Roseman did do a good job. Yes, the drafting has been frustrating.
Not drafting, but with contracts. He does well with contracts. I mean, the man was a lawyer before he came to GM, so he's obviously going to be good with money and numbers. But drafting, it's just Carson Wentz was an easy pick, and he's not even playing that well. I mean, you look at Miles Sanders. Sure, he hasn't turned into anything yet. Sure, he's a great player, but I mean, the kid is like, I mean, it's hard to tell what he's going to be because he's always injured.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And the NFC East is honestly still a toss-up. You know, you got the Redskins still technically in it. You never know. I mean, it looks like this is a division where you're going to need 5-6 wins to win.
The sad thing is, you could see Alex Smith, you could see Carson Wentz, you could see Daniel Jones, and you could see Andy Dalton in a playoff spot at home.
Absolutely.
And that is the saddest thing. And I think with the Eagles, I think if you're going to fire one person next year, it has to be Jim Schwartz. It has to be Jim Schwartz.
I agree on that.
The defense is too good, too many good players, except for the linebacking core, but that's a whole other deal. But he's just had way too many good players to play prevent defense on 3rd and 7 when you're playing 14 yards off of someone. It's getting...
Yeah, Eagles are at the bottom of the league on both third down categories, on both offense and defense. So, that's been one of their weak points here. Let's move on. Obviously, NFC East, that's a topic that everybody's going to talk about all year. It's one of the most...
Least.
NFC least, exactly. It's one of the most unique divisions ever, and not in a good way. All right, let's shift over to basketball here for a little bit, and this is stuff this is uncharted territory. You know, every year there's always that one superstar that trade talks start getting pumped up. Around draft time, and this year it's James Harden, a guy who's been in the MVP race for almost 3 years now, and we've heard Nets, Sixers. Is it possible he lands in any of those two spots, and if so, what's his favorite? Like, not what's his favorite, but like, what do you think the favorite is that he'll end up in?
All right, so as a Sixers fan, I literally want nothing more than to see James Harden and those new Sixers jerseys, dude. Like that's all I want.
It does put a grin on my face to think about that.
And I don't know if I necessarily want to give up Ben or Joel to get James Harden. And I think that is a high asking price because they're probably going to be asking for one out of the two of our superstars, and then they're going to be asking for draft picks. And I think if you're going to give up someone, it should be a one-player swap or a two-player swap. And at this point, I don't know if I'm willing to give up draft picks. Only if it's a trade like you give up Toby, Shake Milton, and a first-round draft pick, second-round draft pick. I don't know if they take that. He's got a lot of baggage coming with him with that max contract.
The reason why Tobias Harris just has no more value anymore is just because of that contract. Honestly, if we were to trade him to a team, they would be taking him off our backs, not us. Like, they're not benefiting from it. We're benefiting from them taking him.
And it's not like I don't like Tobias Harris, because I like Tobias Harris. I just think giving him that contract, he's a big trade piece because he hasn't been on a team for more than 3 seasons, I think it is. Like, he's always moving around. And there's a reason for that. So I think the fact that Elton Brand gave him this max contract screwed him over in the long run, because now you have a shot at a player like James Harden. And Tobias Harris, quality player, and they probably would have taken him in a deal for James Harden. But now you're trading one superstar contract for another superstar contract, when Tobias Harris really is not all that. Now, I think James Harden, there's a chance that he could go to the Nets, but there is a report that just came out recently that said that KD and Kyrie will be the only people that Houston will take for James Harden, whether it be Kyrie or KD. Now, if I'm the Nets, I'm giving up Kyrie. I don't think it's a question. You're not going to give up KD after you just signed him. So I think if it's going to be a deal, it's going to be Kyrie Irving, another player, maybe Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, maybe someone like that. And it's going to be, you're going to add in a second-round draft pick, maybe 2. But I don't think the matchup or the duo of James Harden and KD needs a player like Kyrie to facilitate what they're doing on.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're looking at both the options, right? And this is the only options we heard of publicly. For all we know, James Harden could stay on Houston, which I don't think will happen, just for the very fact that he rejected a $50 million a year contract, which is very concerning.
The things that I would do for $50 million, and the fact that he turned that down boggles my mind.
Yeah, which is my main reason of why I do think he will be traded before the season starts. But if you're looking at the two top options right now, Philadelphia and the Nets, Philadelphia, they've publicly announced over and over and over again they are not interested in trading Ben or Joel, and I don't see a deal getting functioned without trading one of those guys. Now, while for the Nets, you're looking at Kyrie Irving, and he was injured last year, and you have Kevin Durant coming back. They haven't really. It's not like in Philadelphia, they developed such a long-term relationship with Ben and Joel. It's not like they developed that with Kyrie Irving. They had half a season with him. So I really don't feel like they would have too much of an issue trading Kyrie like Philadelphia would have a problem trading Ben or Joel. So, I mean, is it worth it for New York to give up Kyrie and a package of picks and another player to package KD and Harden together? I think so, absolutely. I think that's way more likely to happen than him going to Philadelphia. But only time can tell. For all we know, he can go somewhere else.
What he did post on his Instagram story after there was talks about there being a verbal agreement between Houston and then Brooklyn for James Harden, he posted on his Instagram story him taking off a bottle cap, setting it on the desk, and just recording a cap. So I think he said in the message there that that's cap. So that's just maybe the Sixers fan of me talking, but Meek Mill is recruiting James Harden. So, I mean, my boy out here.
Yeah, only time will tell. And like I said, hopefully by the time we're recording this, nothing happens or we'll look like a bunch of doofuses. But if it does, it does. What are you going to do about it? All right, coming up next. We're past the halfway point of the season now. We passed the trade deadline. We're approaching, what is it, week 10? How are we already at week 10? Stunning to me. This year has flew by, excuse me. So, where we are now, you have two guys, a couple teams on the top of the AFC, a couple teams on the top of the NFC. Who's coming out on top? As of now, in your opinion?
AFC is definitely the Steelers. I really can't see. Even if they lose almost, every single game that they have, they're still going to be 9-7, and I can't see them losing the rest of their games. I could see them maybe losing two. I don't exactly know what their schedule is because I don't care about the Steelers at all, but I think that it'd be very difficult for them to lose 5 or more games at this point, especially the hot streak that they're on. I think Ben Roethlisberger is looking like an old self. I think you also have to look at the GM, and I think you have to give the GM props. That man has not missed on a wide receiver, drafting a wide receiver his almost whole entire tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just, he's got Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown. He had Juju. He had Wheaton. He just doesn't miss. All these guys have been stars for them. Every single one of them. He doesn't miss. And I think you have to look at that. And they have a great defense. You got T.J. Watt in there. You got Joe Hayden. You got, Mika Fitzpatrick. Their defense is solid.
It's a fantastic defense.
The D-line, the linebackers, or the cornerbacks, even the safeties. The safeties are mediocre, but they still play well because the cornerbacks take that slack off of them. So they're just a solid built team that I think is going to take a deep run in the playoffs and win the AFC division. Yeah,
I have to say though, I don't know if you watched my video on Thursday talking about hot takes. I said Steelers, in my opinion, and again, this is not the conversation we're headed here, but that is your pick to win the AFC. But I did say Steelers are one of the worst 8-0 teams I think I've ever seen in my life. They do not impress.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I think it's like the Bears.
Or are they 9-0? Excuse me, they're 9-0.
They're 9-0. But it's almost like the Bears. What's the Bears record? 5-6-3, something like that.
No, I think they're now they're either 5-4 or 5-5 now. They went on a bad losing streak, but they started hot.
When they were 5-2, I said that that's the worst 5-2 team I think I've ever seen. Legitimately, that doesn't happen. And I agree with you. I don't know if the Steelers are legit or they just play competition that's less than them. but it's just 9-0 is a great task. But at the same time, you have to look at the fact that you can only be who's in front of you.
Right.
And they haven't taken anyone lightly.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know if they're necessarily as legit as 9-0 says that they are, but I still think that they're a good team.
All right. What about NFC? NFC's a little tight.
Packers are in the lead, so it's between the Packers for me and the Cardinals. I know the Saints are second. I'm pretty sure the Packers and the Saints are tied. I'm gonna have to go with the Cardinals.
That's wow. The Cardinals. I would go.
Going up that Hail Mary. I mean, that was your number one for the top 5 moments in sports, right?
Yeah, that sure was. That video came out on Tuesday.
I think that is going to boost their confidence. Kyler Murray's he's been quietly playing at an MVP level, and he has guys like Larry Fitzgerald. He has guys like DeAndre Hopkins, and their defense is good. They got guys like Chandler Jones. They got the one guy I can't pronounce his last name, the D end. I literally cannot. But they got Buda Baker in there. They got Patrick Peterson. You look at the main positions in there. They have at least one star player in almost every position. And Kyler Murray has the O-line to help block for him because he is a running type of player. He has that baseball mindset where if you need to run, you do. And if you need to do this, you need to do that, right? You need to take the ball to your bag yourself. You need to throw the ball. You need to run with the ball. Whatever you need to do, he has that mindset. He has the O-line, and he has the receivers and the running backs who are willing to lay themselves out and get injured in order to block for him because that's their quarterback who's playing at an MVP level.
Yeah,
so I think
yeah, for sure. So Cardinals, Steelers are your picks for the number 1 seed. Yeah, I was surprised to hear the Cardinals from you. I would, me personally, I don't have a definitive answer, but I would have to go with Saints or Bucks. I think they're both exceptional. And if I had to pick, I would probably go with the Bucks. I know they've been slightly inconsistent, losing to some teams they shouldn't have lost and getting blown out by the Saints. But I just think they're too much of an offensive powerhouse. All right, let's move on here. Favorite, and I'm talking about end of season stuff already. I know we're a little bit past the halfway point, but I always like to review the stuff at the halfway point. But we're a little past that. But I want to hear your opinion on who's the favorite to win NFL MVP. You already mentioned Kyler Murray, him being in the race. I did mention that also in my hot take video of how I was saying, Kyler Murray, dark horse MVP. Is he your favorite as of now, or if not, who is?
I think I'm going to actually have to go with Jalen Hurts on this one. No, but in all seriousness, I think most people would say that Russell Wilson is the MVP frontrunner right now. I can't say I disagree with that. I mean, the man has something like almost 3,000 yards. He's got 38 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He flat out sucked against the Rams, though. That was bad. 0 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions. That's not like him.
And you know what? And you know what? He's not been playing good, which is why I feel like this has become more of a conversation. Because going into the season, it seemed like people have already definitively, said that Russell Wilson is the MVP. It's just okay, let Russ cook. It's just all of it started to trend. And I think these last couple weeks, he's thrown multiple interceptions the last couple weeks. Against the Rams, he didn't have a touchdown.
Like Carson Wentz.
You're talking about 10 interceptions, and you're talking about that's good. But we still got 6-7 more games to play here, and he's at 10 interceptions. So I don't know if
you just have to look at his receivers. He has probably one of the best receivers cores, if not the best receiver cores. There's no reason that you should be overthrowing them, throwing bad balls, and getting them intercepted, especially with teams like the Rams, where their only really star player on defense is Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey.
I still think he's an absolute front runner. Don't get me wrong. I just think that it's not as clear cut anymore, due to the fact that he's not been playing up to the performance he's been playing to the first half of the season. So, who is your favorite? Just if the season were to end now, who are you gonna give the MVP to?
I want to say Russell Wilson, but now that we're talking about his stats and what he's going through and how many games he actually do have left in this season, and he's already thrown 10 interceptions. 38 touchdowns, that's a great feat.
It's insane.
Halfway through the season.
It's insane.
I mean, but with that receiving core, I'm pretty sure most quarterbacks could throw 38 touchdowns at the beginning of the year. Players like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, players like that. But I think I'm either going to have to go with Kyler Murray on this one. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Kyler Murray.
I'm gonna help you out here, because he's one that I feel like everyone knows how good he is. It's just he never gets mentioned in the MVP talks. How about Aaron Rodgers? Yeah.
Yeah. I think see, every single year in the media, right? Every single year the media is like, oh, he's gonna regress this season. He's going to do this. He comes up with a bad season. Everyone's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is done. Trade him, Green Bay. Let Jordan Love in. Do this, do that. And then he comes in every single year that they say that, and he seems, when he ages, he seems to get better.
Yeah.
Like, he is throwing balls that I don't think Patrick Mahomes could throw. He puts them on the money. He has probably the best arm strength in the NFL. Not even probably. He has the best arm strength in the NFL. And I think that he has a great running back to complement him. He has some great wide receivers. How about another guy? What about Josh Allen?
Josh Allen. Yeah, I mean, he's right now leading the league.
I don't think he's being talked about, but that team is good.
He's not being talked about.
That team is good.
He's leading the league in passing yards right now. And
guys like Stephon Diggs are balling out. His defense, the Bills' defense, is probably one of the best I've seen in a long time.
I think the Colts' defense is the best in the league, but Bills is definitely up there. So you're talking, we threw out a bunch of names here. Obviously Russell Wilson. We have Aaron Rodgers. We have Kyler Murray, kind of as a dark horse here, and we also have Josh Allen, who is not being talked about, but he should but he should be.
Agreed.
So. Yeah, earlier in the season, in conclusion here, earlier in the season, Russell Wilson was the clear cut. Now it's tightened. If the season were to end for me right now, I would have to give it to Russell Wilson. But all I'm saying, it's tightened a lot. It's now we have 4 guys who I feel you can make all very logical arguments of why they should win MVP. And like I said, this is a race that isn't going to end until probably week 17.
So my MVP frontrunners right now are Jalen Hurts, Nathan Peterman, and Ryan Tannehill. Okay.
Hey, don't forget about Kirk Cousins too.
Oh, okay.
Hey, also
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz. All right, let's move on here. Final question here. Best. Oh, you know what? While we're sticking, I'm sorry. I'm going to add another question here because I talked about this in one of my earlier videos. Real quick, let's make this question real quick. If we're sticking in the award segment, who's your rookie of the year in the NFL?
Right now?
Yeah, just real quick.
Ooh, it's a lot.
That's even tighter in my opinion.
I think CeeDee Lamb is definitely a front runner there. I think Tua.
CeeDee Lamb, really? I think it's going to be a quarterback.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Tua. I think Tua's going to win. Justin Herbert's been blowing out. I mean, he doesn't have a great team.
I got to give it to Justin Herbert here. Look, I get it. Tua's good. I get it. He's been flashy, but he's not throwing the ball a lot. But Justin Herbert, he looks like what Carson Wentz should be right now. He looks like a top tier level talent. Yes, he's not winning a lot of games.
Like 2017 Carson Wentz, and that's who he reminds me.
I mean, he is slinging the ball. I mean, he looks incredible. So he's my rookie of the year. Okay, just wanted to get that out real quick. Now let's go to the last question. Now we're shifting back to the NBA. NBA draft happened. NBA draft happened this week. Who is going to be the rookie of the year? Super early prediction. Who's going to be the best player overall in their entire career coming out of this draft? It's not a strong class, but it's
really not. It's honestly one of the weakest classes I've seen in a very long time. There's not one player that stands out. Like you had your Zion Williamson last year, you had your Luka Doncic, you had your Joel Embiid, you had your Ben Simmons, you had your Markelle Fultz back in the day, unfortunately. You had your Jason Tatum, you got your Lonzo Ball. They all are great prospects coming out. And then this class comes, and all they talk about is the top 4 picks. You got that guy, I don't even know his name. You got James Wiseman, you got Anthony Edwards, You got I forget the other kid's name. To be honest
Topin.
with
You got Topin.
Yep. But right now, it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? We haven't seen him play. I mean, I've watched him in college. Been saying that he's going to be good for a while, but I think it's got to be Anthony Edwards. And it's just basically because I think Edwards is just so far ahead of everyone else in this draft class when it comes to his transition game on offense. And I think the domination in the paint is something you don't see in a shooting guard like him. And I think he has the ability to be able to shoot the three ball at a high level. I think he has the chance to be a great defender at the high level, a lockdown defender at the high level in the NBA. And I think that he can be just a defensive force and an offensive force in this NBA, and I think he could be the rookie of the year.
Yes, this is a weak class, but I'm so offended that you did not mention the best player in this draft. The player who's going to be the rookie of the year and is going to be a star. It's not even going to be close of who the best player is in this draft. LaMelo Ball. I get it. Everybody hates the Ball family. I get it.
Are you kidding?
I get it. Lonzo is not that good, but LaMelo.
Are you joking?
Look, LaMelo has this. He has this offensive energy that I don't think we've seen since LeBron coming out of the draft. He is explosive. Okay, sure, his defensive play has some question to it, but there's a reason why he got drafted so high. There's a reason why he got drafted so high.
I'm questioning if he even knows how to play defense. I'm questioning if he even plays it. He's looking like James Harden.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's one of the hardest things to predict. Like, who would have predicted John Morant would have won Rookie of the Year? Not Zion or anyone else, or the guy who went to the.
Right now, LaMelo Ball will be a bust. That is my hot take. LaMelo Ball will be a bust.
And you know what? In my opinion, he will be.
LaMelo Ball will pull a Lonzo Ball and be an absolute trash monster bust. I don't care.
And you know what? My hot take will be he will win an MVP in 5 years. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. That's a hot take. I want to make that clear.
Come back here and watch it 5 years and see who's better.
All right. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being here. I gotta wrap this up, and I think there is a problem with my camera, which is wonderful, and my computer's about to die, so everything's gonna get shut down. So I gotta say bye to you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you, and I'm sure I will see you sometime later. Next week we got another special guest, Nathan Romano, coming on the show. So make sure you guys tune in for that. So as always, I will see you guys next time, and have a good one.